called Luscious and Seductor. Okay. Luscious and Seductor set off in Seductor's 1998 shocking pink Pontiac, her pride and joy, a wedding present from Mikey after they'd gotten hitched by a Lady Gaga look-alike 6 months ago after indulging in a drunken orgy with several Scottish footballers. Seductor harbored such fond memories of that special day. She'd even had the date tattooed on her ass. How come Mikey bought you an old car? Luscious sneered as she settled in the passenger seat and attempted to fasten the broken seatbelt across her skinny waist. Better than that piece of garbage you drive, Seductor sneered back, referring to Luscious' used 2008 Toyota. My Pontiac is vintage. Luscious wasn't quite sure what vintage meant, so she kept quiet. Who is this John we're seeing? Seductor inquired, weaving in and out of traffic with a total lack of concern for other drivers on the road. What's his deal? Girl on girl? Because if it is, I'm warning you, don't go sticking your tongue in my coos. You gotta fake it. Be clear on that? I'm not shocking anybody. How the fuck I know who he is, Luscious said irritably. It's a job. The jerk-off paying top dollar. And might I remind you to get a life, because the last place my tongue wants to go is anywhere near your fat coos. Oh! Fat, Seductor hissed, tapping the steering wheel with long, fake nails, several of them chipped. If anything's fat, it's your big mouth. Since you had that shit injected in your lips, they remind me of two gnarly worms. You're just being jealous again, Luscious said, refusing to get into a war of words. Randy gets up on my lips. Nobody told me, Seductor replied with a knowing smirk. Since when did you go talking to my boyfriend? Luscious demanded. Huh, like I'm not allowed to speak to my own brother-in-law? Seductor sneered. You seem to forget we're related. Randy and me, we're family. Luscious narrowed her squinty eyes. Seductor was dumb as a sheep, and she wasn't about to take the bait, because that's what Seductor was doing, baiting her into losing her cool. She wished she hadn't thrown this well-paid gig Seductor's way. That cow didn't deserve it. She should have picked one of the other girls. Too late now. The best thing she could do was grit her teeth and put a smile on it. So that's hookers for you. I wish I could find the elevator scene, because that's what I really wanted. Thank you. So I figured if you wanted to ask me any questions, we could do a little question and answer thing. How does everybody feel about that?
Great.
Sounds good, Jackie.
Okay.
Where do you get
My
your
money's on you, darling.
Okay, where do I get my
Where do you get your
inspiration?
inspiration from?
From people like you.
From yes, from us.
You know, these are just minor characters in the book. But I was, watching some hookers on Sunset one night when I was driving down there with some friends, and sometimes, I'll take a friend. I had this friend, he had a bachelor night, and so some girlfriends and I got a limo, and we took him for his bachelor night, and we took him to the strip place on Sunset, which it says live nude girls. And you want to say to yourself, what would they really have? Dead nude girls? I mean, so ridiculous. So we were there, and I got to talking to them. We bought him the best stripper, and they all come and they reveal things to me. And then we took him to the strip club, where they mud wrestle by the freeway in Los Angeles. See, I have fun nights there. And then he was mud wrestling, and the girls, once again, are all revealing things to me. And when we walked into the mud wrestling place, and this is a true story, there was a girl taking everybody's hats and coats and stuff. And she said, "Oh, Jackie Collins, I came to Hollywood because of you." And I thought, and this is where you ended up? So, inspiration is everywhere. And Armand, who's the villain I've created in Goddess of Vengeance, he's not a serious character. I invented this fictitious Arab country that doesn't really exist, and he's a prince. So they have their own rules, but he hates women. He has no respect for women. And the inspiration for him came when I was reading an article in the New York Times about a woman in a country that was going to be stoned to death because of adultery. And I thought, like this, I'm going to write a character, but I'll make up my own rules. And so, a lot of these men don't have any respect for women. How can they have respect for women when they cover them from head to toe in a burqa? So I made this place up. Ramshare, it is, yes. And Armand is the worst villain I've ever written. He's a really
Really?
nasty.
That bad?
So he channeled, I channeled him because the things he does are so outrageous and nasty that I don't know where they came from. So I guess I was just channeling him. And the things he does with these two hookers, which is later in the book, when they finally arrive there, having hated each other all the way. And then, of course, the book is really about Lucky. Lucky Santangelo.
Lucky Santangelo.
Lucky Santangelo.
That's a Sicilian name.
She's Italian.
Sicilian.
Are you Sicilian?
All the way
I
around.
love that.
Both sides, mom and pop.
Okay.
My mother's from Messina, my father's from Palermo.
This is great. I love that. Okay.
Santangelo, that's my name.
Santangelo. Question, somebody?
Yeah, when you channel your characters, once you have an idea for them, how do you fully develop it? Like, do you meditate? Do you think of it? Does it take a month on end? Does it take a day?
I don't. I just start writing them. And as I write, the character comes to life. I have no idea. When I sit down every day and I've got a pen and I write in longhand, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I have no idea what's going to happen from day to day. I'm in the middle of a new book now called The Power Trip. And I'm dying to get back to it because the characters are so interesting to me. But I don't know what they're going to do next.
Do you carry a pen and paper with you at all times?
I try to, but I usually forget. So I have to keep it all in my head.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think anybody who's a writer here knows that that's
Yeah, it's
what
hard.
you do, So and then things come to you in the middle of the
Do you
night.
like sleep at night and just like, oh, I gotta write this
Yeah, I
down?
have very vivid dreams. Sometimes my characters take off in my dreams. And they do stuff and then write it the next day. Yes?
So this is your 28th book, and so what do you see, just from you personally, from your first book to the 28th book, how have you evolved personally in your writing?
Well, first of all, in my first book, which was The World is Full of Married Men, my publisher informed me I would have to take out all the four-letter words, so I took out all the fucks, and then I was banned in Australia anyway. So now I'm seriously thinking of bringing it back on ebooks and putting back all the fucks.
Yes, you should.
So
you should,
yeah, putting back
definitely.
the original
We'll read
language
it,
that I
we'll
wrote.
read it.
But that was 1968, and people were very shocked by this book. But they were shocked by it anyway. The book came out, and somebody in an English paper took a half-page ad, and it said, "This is the most shocking book I've ever read," because it took the double standard and it turned it on its ass. And men didn't like that. There was a guy that was screwing around on his wife for 9 years. She finally does the same to him after 9 years of putting up with it. And then he goes to his girlfriend, his beautiful girlfriend, and he says, "I'm leaving my wife, I'm going to marry you." And she says, "I don't want to marry you, I just like sleeping with married men." So men were outraged by this. They thought this was shocking, that I shouldn't be doing this. So I really crossed boundaries when I started to write, and then after The World is Full of Married Men, I wrote The Stud, which was based very much, my husband owned clubs.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and we had a club in London called he had a club in London called the Ad Lib. This was before we were married, and all the Beatles and the Stones and Eric Clapton used to hang out there. And there was this one guy that ran the club, and all the girls wanted to screw him. So guess who got him?
So that was like the Studio 54 of its time.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was around the same time as a little after
A little
Studio
bit,
54.
yeah.
It was incredible. It was in Leicester Square in London. You had to go up in an elevator, and it was just
I
packed
read
with
about
famous
that.
people.
Your sister wrote that in her book about that club.
Yeah,
She wrote about it in her book. Because
Yeah.
I read all your sister's books too.
yeah.
Joan.
Right. Oh, I know who my sister.
Not my sister. You and your,
Sister.
there's only two of you, but you and
Oh, I
your
have a
sis-
brother. I have a fantastic brother.
Do you really have a brother? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Got a great brother.
Is he single?
He's fabulous. Yeah, he's straight. What is it, Barry? My friend Barry, who happens to be my gay best friend. What is it you say about straight guys?
Somebody said, don't waste your time with he's straight. Like somebody say behind me, so spaghetti till it hits hot water.
That's cute.
Yeah, that's very true, actually.
Out of your 28 children,
Yeah.
which is your favorite?
I would have to say Goddess of Vengeance because it's the current one. But I would say a
Or do
very
you-
special book to me is Chances.